Today, I will be discussing a movie called All I See Is You. The movie follows Gina, who was blinded in childhood due to an accident. She and her husband, James, an insurance agent, live in Bangkok and have a happy marriage. The couple is attempting to conceive a child while also hoping for the success of Gina's vision restoration. Dr. Hughes conducts an examination and concludes that he can operate on Gina's right eye to partially restore her vision. The operation involves a cornea transplant, iris reconstruction, and implant lens insulation, which can restore her vision up to 40 to 50% in a month. Gina and James schedule an appointment for the operation and return home. During her preparation for a talent show with a neighbor's daughter, Gina meets Daniel at the pool. Daniel is someone she meets every day but has never seen due to her blindness. While in the shower, Karen jokes that if Gina were not blind, she could admire the sausage of Dr. Hughes. Gina notices the girl has blood on her and becomes concerned. On her way out, Gina meets Lucy, who is crying because her mother wants to give away their dog Ginger due to the arrival of a new baby. Gina takes it upon herself to rescue the dog. Later, James notices that Gina is upset and discovers that she cannot conceive. In an attempt to console his wife, he takes her to a disco club. Gina begins to dance, but James makes a disparaging remark about the other dancers, saying that they look stupid. Later, Dr. Hughes calls their home to inform them of a free space for the operation. On the day of the surgery, James accompanies Gina to the operating room. While under anesthesia, Gina dreams of a car accident that involved her parents and sister. When she awakens, she discovers that the operation was a success, and her vision is slowly returning. During lunch at the hospital, Gina confesses to her husband that she has not yet seen herself in the mirror and had imagined him differently. James reassures her that she is beautiful, but he may not be as handsome as she imagined. This causes Gina to smile and confess that James is actually much more handsome than she thought. That night, Gina decides to look at herself in the mirror and admire the view of Bangkok from the balcony. The next day, Dr. Hughes provides her with various drops to aid her recovery, and she is able to go home in a taxi. Gina is thrilled by the vivid colors around her and expresses a desire to see even more. James takes her to the flower market, where she enjoys the view for a long time. However, the apartment they return to is not as Gina had imagined, leading her to realize that she did not know as much as she thought she did. In an effort to make her happy, James surprises her with tickets to the same hotel in southern Spain where they honeymooned, followed by a visit to Gina's sister in Barcelona. The couple then makes love, but unexpectedly, James stops and goes to the clinic to provide material for a sperm analysis. While at the airport, Gina asks her husband to buy her a mini camera. Upon arriving in Spain and settling into their hotel, Gina informs James that they were given the wrong room. The one they had on their honeymoon was different. Gina begins to assert her independence in other matters, such as asking for 2 separate boats instead of a double one during a boating trip. In the evening, while at the bar, James becomes jealous after seeing Gina talking sweetly with a man named Norman. However, upon her return, Gina explains that Norman and his wife are also on their honeymoon. Later that night, while on a train, Gina ties James to the bed and blindfolds him before asking him frank questions about her sexual fantasies involving other men. James becomes nervous and asks to be released. In Barcelona, they are met by Gina's sister Carla, her husband Raymond, and their son Luke. During dinner, Raymond asks about their plans for having children, which Gina finds indecent. After dinner, Carla and Gina prepare for an evening walk, during which James is surprised by Gina's makeup and dress. However, he is actually slightly confused. Later, everyone gathers in a bar to watch a football match. Raymond notes that his job as an insurance agent is likely very tedious. After leaving the bar, Raymond invites everyone to go to a strip show. The drunken girls eagerly agree, but James declines, stating that he is not interested and allows his wife to go with Carla and her husband. Upon their return, Raymond jokingly suggests that Gina teach her boring husband what she saw. Along the way, an unfamiliar man touches Gina inappropriately, and she responds aggressively, cursing at him, while James tries to calm her down and understand the situation. In response, the man strikes James and Raymond intervenes, fighting off the assailant. Gina thanks Raymond, but she is very upset with James's behavior, shouting that anyone can approach and touch her because her husband doesn't care. At home, James asks why Gina humiliated him in front of their relatives, but she responds that he has humiliated himself. The couple attempts to sleep, but is disturbed by the sounds of Carla and Raymond's lovemaking. Upon returning to Thailand, Gina notices that their windows face their neighbors directly and asks James to move to another house, but he refuses, claiming that they feel comfortable there. Later, James tries to seduce her, but Gina changes the topic of conversation and begins to discard old, unattractive clothes. At night, James discovers a video on Gina's tablet that was recorded on the train, where she admits to fantasizing about other men, and he notices that her face was completely impassive and not even looking at him. He then looks thoughtfully at a bottle of drops in their bedroom while his wife sleeps. The next day, the man learns from the doctor that he cannot become a father based on the test results. During a walk with Lucy and Ginger, Gina encounters Daniel from the pool, and he invites her for coffee, but she declines. Returning home as a blonde, Gina informs her husband that she plans to view a house the next day. In the evening, James asks Gina to wear something modest so that people won't stare at her, to which she asks if he loved her more when she was blind. The following day, Gina views the house and likes it. Later, while rehearsing a song for a talent show with Lucy, Gina's operated eye begins to water, and she informs her husband that it's painful and teary. Dr. Hughes diagnoses her with a slight inflammation resulting in implant rejection and prescribes additional steroid drops. The next day, Gina realizes that her vision is rapidly deteriorating, and Dr. Hughes suggests that the operation was successful and asks if Gina is using the steroid drops correctly. Gina expresses her doubts and asks him to check the contents of the drops. Dr. Hughes agrees to send them for analysis and gives her the same drops in the bottles. In the evening, the couple goes to a party and James rushes Gina. Gina screams when she realizes that her vision has deteriorated again, but James comforts her. The next day, while walking their dog, the heat causes the dog to feel unwell, and Daniel offers to take the dog to his house to give her water, but suddenly kisses Gina, and she cannot stop him. Meanwhile, James looks at the house that Gina liked and instructs the realtor to purchase it. When Gina returns home, James informs her that he has bought the house. The next day, the doctor informs Gina over the phone that the contents of the drops were analyzed, and it turns out that they contained only water. Gina returns home to discover that their apartment was robbed and Ginger is missing. She calls her husband and goes to the park to search for Ginger, where she meets Daniel. James arrives and becomes jealous upon seeing them. On the way home, James reveals that he recognized Daniel from the pool where Gina first met him, but Gina reassures him that there is nothing between them. The next day, Gina decides to stop communicating with Daniel and quickly leaves the pool. One evening, a woman tells her husband that she's pregnant, unaware that he is infertile. James understands the situation but doesn't reveal anything. The couple moves into their new home a few months later. By then, Gina has lost her sight completely and needs her husband's help for everything. James is enthusiastic about assisting his wife and learns that the girl's mother will take them to the concert that Gina and Lucy have been preparing for. Before leaving, James makes sure Gina doesn't notice him and then departs with the girl who helps him pack things. At home, Gina finds a letter from a child who found her dog and left it tied to a fence. James discovers empty bottles of eye drops that Gina had secretly used to treat her eyes in their former apartment. He realizes that his wife had been hiding her treatment from him. James rushes home and finds a letter with a picture of Ginger, their dog. The child who wrote the letter says that he loves Ginger and believes she belongs to him. James attends the talent show and watches as Gina looks directly at him while singing a song that she had learned with Lucy, which is actually addressed to him. Gina suddenly starts singing a solo song, saying goodbye to him and that they will only be together in their dreams. Overwhelmed with remorse for his possessiveness and secrecy, James hastily leaves the hall. Later, Gina removes her engagement ring after realizing that James had found the letter she had read. Meanwhile, James runs in tears through the tunnel towards the truck, the same one that Gina's family had died in. Eventually, Gina and their newborn child meet for the first time, and the movie ends. Thank you for watching.